and welcome back to the channel. Foo. Thanks for tapping in. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe and like videos like this.
A whistleblower leaked this footage of the interior of a UFO. Now y'all look at this. Now allegedly this UFO was hidden inside Area 51 for over 40 years. And if you look at the interior of this UFO, this looks like something we cannot understand. And once you go inside, I heard it could be as big as a football stadium.
Domingo, curtindo uma cachoeira em Leeds, Rio de Janeiro. Reparem no visual, na mata. Agora o melhor de tudo é essa queda d'água. Muita água. Muita força. Uhul! Ih, caraca! Tem uma coisa ali. Caraca, apareceu um cara ali no meio da água. Mozinho! Mozinho, você viu o cara no meio da água? Caraca! Ali, mozinho!
A newborn baby was found with 1 meter long hair, and experts claim it may be caused by a hormonal mutation. But anyone who saw the actual footage knows the truth is far stranger. Early that morning, the lights in the Virginia hospital's maternity ward kept flickering. When the nurse lifted the baby, a massive curtain of black hair slid out from under the blanket. Too long, too dark, and almost wet. Some swear they saw the hair move on its own, drifting faintly through the air. And when the doctor cut the umbilical cord, his hand trembled, because along the baby's neck, new strands of hair were still growing. Even worse, this isn't the first case in Virginia. Over the past 3 months, at least 3 newborns showed the same abnormal hair growth. The hospital insists it's nutrition related, but the experts whisper about something far more disturbing, that the mutation isn't hormonal at all, but something unknown, using the fetus as a host to grow again. The ward is now sealed off. And as for the long-haired newborn, authorities still haven't released an update. Some say the hair grew another 2 inches. Some say it can move. And some say a night shift nurse vanished.
That is a swastika and a Star of David glued together on the third eye of a 45,000-year-old artifact.
So anybody who does DMT repeatedly, they recognize that type of artwork.
That's a woman. There's a third eye on it. There's a third eye on almost all of them. Whoa, hey Alex, what do you make of a swastika third eye? That's a swastika and a Star of David. Yeah, that's an evil motherfucker. Dude, that's the Nazis and the Jews blended together. Fucking wild. But that is a swastika and a Star of David blended together on the third eye of a 45,000-year-old artifact that's fitting to sacrifice somebody. That's a woman. What does he have? Looks like a fish. That's a serpent. It's well known they did DMT. Well, there's DMT satchels on all the ancient artifacts in Peru.
DMT takes you to another dimension. Anybody who does DMT repeatedly, they recognize that type of artwork.
Anybody who knows a history book knows those 2 signs, and it just boggles the mind.
It's like a prediction, I don't know.
Unless time folds. Yeah. If time is circular, yeah, it happened before. It could be happening again right now in the United States. If time is linear or circular, it's still circular. There is no such thing as a straight line. Any line that is long enough to continue will eventually wind back up where it started.
That means a flat surface. Esos 3 cráneos que encontramos el sábado.
¿Dónde encontraste este? Yo quiero ir y sentir el mundo ahí.
Claro, claro. 5 minutos.
Oh, 5 minutes from here. Hey, so we just paid off the police $150 to let us go. We were just extorted. So I am here on an archaeological dig. It's right there. That's the tunnel that we're starting at. Right there. Shoes off for respect.
Urgent message from police. They're looking for a missing dad.
The girl only had a drawing of her father. She didn't have a photo, just this drawing of her her father.
Have an update from police.
Officers have now located the father just moments ago.
And she drew her dad so well.
This is one of the strangest hospital clips I've ever seen, and it's only 9 seconds long. A nurse was checking on a patient late at night. Nothing unusual. She bends down to adjust something under the bed, and that's when everything changes. The moment her hand goes under, she suddenly jerks forward, like something pulled her just a little too hard. She loses her balance, hits the floor, and you can hear her gasp in shock. But what happens next is the part no one can explain. She tries to push herself up, but her arm moves in a way that doesn't look like she's controlling it. Almost like an unseen force is dragging her backward, slow, steady, intentional. She keeps saying, "Stop, stop, please let go," her voice shaking, as she's lifted just enough to slide out of frame. The camera keeps rolling, but she's gone. 9 seconds. No figure. No person. Nothing visible in the shot. Just a nurse being pulled out of the camera's view by something we still can't see. So here's my question. If there was nothing under that bed, what exactly grabbed her?
Everyone is scared of the mermaid. Yeah. Because it's a god of the relay. And he thinks the mermaid will get angry and will come after his family. So he doesn't want to talk about this.
The mermaid is danger, you know. It will be take a family when they are washing the river. You will take it.
Take the family in the water?
Yeah, in the water, yeah.
The mermaid comes. They think anyone that is eaten by the mermaid is cursed. This thing specifically takes the tongue and the belly button.
Do they find bodies like this?
Yes. Okay. Good question. We're gonna record this. And there is a small island.
She wasn't the only one out there letting everything out.
There were 3 caves.
And this is where in Utah?
And somewhere in the Wasatch Mountains. I was trying to line up to take a device, you know, this recording device like this, and do research. They did. They eventually did. The guardians of the caves and the territory have been in the hands of the Native American in that area for hundreds and hundreds and maybe thousands of years. They are taught, they are visited quite often, as they said. These people are not, fringe, what I call fringe thinking. They're very solid. They believe in the Great Spirit, a very solid practice of treating one another here correctly, how you'd want to be treated. The caretakers, as they're called, are visited by these extraterrestrials. But there's some big graves up there with people 7 feet and over. Blonde-haired, red-haired, light-skinned, fairly well preserved. I mean, you know, where do they come from? I don't mean That's just one out of many.
Have you seen these, or did you go?
I've seen pictures of them. Yeah, I saw it. They brought back still pictures. Not only did they do video, they brought back still pictures. So how they opened up these caves, they look just like mountains. I don't know, who knows? I don't know, but they got in there. Yeah, there's technology, weapons or things that can heal. There's spacecraft, so I'm told. But this travel stone came out of one of them where ancient records are kept.
Bill Gates? Mark Zuckerberg? Really strange. This 19-year-old guy drops out from Harvard and founds Facebook, okay? And now he's a billionaire. How does that happen, guys? Well, it must be the American dream. Oh, ChatGPT, guys. Really strange. If you have a dream and you just follow it, you can become a billionaire in America. Yeah. It's all just a scam, right? Google, it's all just a scam, okay? What you need to understand about these companies is they were all founded with US military technology that is public, okay? The internet, it's a US military technology. Google, the search engines, it's all US military technology. And they were given to these guys for free. Why would they do that? Okay, again, if you think that we're ruled by secret societies, and it's really secret societies that control the world, and they want this technology out there to better surveil people, it makes a lot more sense, right? Because if the Pentagon said, hey, we have this free computer that you can use, you'd be like, I'm not gonna use this computer because you'll spy on me, right? But if Mark Zuckerberg says, hey, free Facebook, guys, want to use it? You're like, yeah, sure, Facebook, yeah. He's a dork from Harvard. Of course he can be trusted, right? Same strategy, okay, guys?
What up, y'all? I'm from Los Angeles, and I moved all the way to the south of France. Crazy, huh? Anyway, check this out. I'm in front of this store, this supermarket. This is called Auchan. But look, I want to show you guys something. I want to show you guys something that you probably don't know. Still got me saying, let me show you. You guys notice in the whole vegetable area, right? No matter what vegetables you look at, there's no spraying all your vegetables. You feel me? There's no spray, whatever they, in America, you think is water or whatever they have. There's none of that shit here. All the vegetables are just out. But watch this. This one is crazy. Now in France, in America, we refrigerate all of our milks. You buy it cold, you take it home fast, and you put it in the refrigerator. Well, in France, all the milk sits out. You don't need to refrigerate the milk until you actually open it. Until you open it is when it goes in the refrigerator. Now watch this. In America, y'all know when we buy eggs, they're refrigerated also just like the milk. Watch this. Well, here in France, they're not refrigerated. They just sit out. You take them home, they stay out. And they taste better. But anyway, I bet you never knew that though. I bet you never knew that. Can anybody in the comments tell me why is it that France is able to leave the milk out and leave the eggs out? What do we do different in America? Yeah, we can't leave our milk and eggs out. Or what's that water or that spray that y'all spraying on our vegetables? Y'all let me know. I want to know. And people want to know. I'll holler.
A lot of people don't understand that there are actually 7 CIAs. There isn't one big monolithic CIA. There's the bureaucracy CIA, there's the drone CIA, there's the torture and rendition CIA, there's the Zionist CIA, there's the Wall Street CIA, and then there's the White House CIA, which is kind of closed down right now. The CIA made Bill and Hillary Clinton. They turned Arkansas into an aircraft carrier for guns, drugs, gold, cash, and small children. And I am against the decision that was made to allow George H.W. Bush to die without being indicted. George H.W. Bush is the master criminal in our era, and they're going to let him die peacefully. Barbara Bush is also equally culpable. Dick Cheney is the one guy I think we can hang. The whole Watergate thing was about getting the Democratic pedophile book. And I will tell you, if that book were to be captured today, I'm pretty sure Joe Biden's name would be in it.
저요. 뭐요?
The other dude is definitely a green flag guy.
This thing is called a dorje, and it's weird. To be frank, it looks like electricity, specifically the actings of pinched plasmas in a lab that just naturally take on a torus shape for reasons unknown. But why do ancient texts insist that so-called decor like this is an energy sensor of purification for both body and soul? In other words, why is it sacred? When we look closely at Hindu temples, it becomes clear that there is something else happening. Not only do some of these components look like modern turbines, but they also reflect microscopic biological processors that are invisible to the naked eye. Various components of ancient Hindu temples move, spin, hover, and most importantly, are shaped with precise definition to the exact geometry considered sacred. Forms seen in cymatics that occur from specific frequencies known to heal and alter mental focus. If that's not enough, all of these machine-like parts are surrounded by one of the most ancient archetypes known to man, the serpent. The serpent moves in a trail identical to a sine wave and is a perfect metaphor for energy and motion. The serpent also certainly represents a flow of electrical energy that happens within our human bodies once every 28 days, called Kundalini. To me, this answers the question as to what devices these ancient temple machines were meant to power. The devices were us, that is, the ancient people who either developed or more likely inherited this technology. Why bother powering your air fryer and a big screen TV when you can fine-tune the soul in the direction of meditative bliss and possible communion with the oceans of souls living on the other side of our visible reality?
Manasseh, Utah. Mount Nebo, Utah. Mount Pisgah, Utah. Jericho, Utah. South Gilead Way, Utah. Ephraim, Utah. Daniel, Utah. Dan is short for Daniel. Nephi, Utah, short for Naphtali. Moab, Utah. Eden, Utah. Goshen, Utah. Jordan, Salt Lake. Mount Carmel Junction, Utah. North Eden Canyon, Utah. Zion Canyon, Utah. Zion National Park, Utah. Benjamin, Utah. Enoch, Utah. Joseph, Utah. Levan, Utah. Providence, Utah. Salem, Utah. Salem, Jerusalem, Utah, nicknamed Beehive State. There's a mountain in eastern Nevada named Mount Moriah, and it is over 12,000 feet high. In Utah, not only is there a river Jordan, but it runs out of a freshwater lake and into the Great Salt Lake, which is remarkably like the Dead Sea. There is also a Mount Nebo of the NEB in Utah, approximately 12,000 feet high. So yes, with evidence this strong, the real Judah was in Utah. People try to say that it was the Mormons that gave these places in Utah biblical names to support their position as Jews. However, this explanation fails miserably, because there are no 12,000 feet high mountains in modern day Israel.
According to the Aztecs, this wasn't the first world. They believe it was the fifth. That 4 worlds came before this one. Each was controlled by a different sun, and each world was eventually wiped out. This is the Sunstone, and it's basically their record of it all. The first sun was the Jaguar sun. They believe this world ended when predators took over, represented by jaguars. Not metaphorical, not symbolic, humans just lost. Nature won. Game over. The second sun was the Wind sun. They believed this world was destroyed by massive winds, storms, chaos, nothing stable enough for civilization to hold on to. The third sun was the Fire Rain sun. They believe fire rained down from the sky, volcanoes, firestorms, possibly even meteors, something catastrophic coming from above. Fourth sun was the Water sun. They believed this world ended in a flood. Everything drowned, mountains disappeared, humanity was washed away almost entirely. And then there's the fifth sun, the sun of movement. That's the world we live under right now, a world defined by motion, change, and instability. And according to the Aztecs, this one doesn't end quietly either. They believed it ends in earthquakes, massive tectonic adjustments. To them, creation wasn't a perfect sacred moment, it was something that worked, for now, temporary, fragile. So if this is the fifth world, and if the Aztecs prove to be correct, the question isn't really whether it ends, it's what exactly the movement will be that we're destined for. Follow us for more.
All human life originated in Lyra. And when Lyra fell during a war, long before one of the stars there exploded, they migrated out from Lyra during a war in order to preserve the race, and they went to different parts of our galaxy. So all human life originated from Lyra originally. Because of their environment, they will, from generation to generation, pick up physical changes depending upon the surface and the organics of their planets and so on and so forth. The different colored race skins have to do with genetics involving the stars in which that they're exposed to. So that's basically where they came from.
So their primary home star then is Lyra?
Yes.
And is that currently
Originally
still their home star?
No, there's no human life in Lyra.
So now where do they exist now?
In the constellation of Andromeda.
Okay, throughout the constellation?
Yes.
Okay, they must be very plentiful then. There must be a great, vast civilization there.
Yes, there is. It's an ancient race.
Have they described what their civilization is like to you?
Yes, they have.
And could you go into some of the details that strike you the most about their civilization?
They're essentially, no matter where they are, they're a one-world government.
Ay, hombre.
Someone was getting death threats.
Want to see a blood-drinking reptilian? Meet Peter Thiel, the co-founder of PayPal. The letters in the name Peter Thiel can be reorganized to make the words the reptile. Old Petey boy has pronounced canine fangs. Look at Petey's nose. That should tell you everything you need to know. But anyway, Pete said he wanted to inject himself with young people's blood. Jeff Bercovici of Inc. magazine published an interview in which the venture capitalist explains that he's interested in parabiosis, the practice of getting transfusions of blood from a younger person as a means of improving health and potentially reversing age. Pete said, I'm looking into the parabiosis stuff, which I think is really interesting. The company Peter Thiel is talking about, it's called ambrosia. In Greek mythology, ambrosia was the food or drink of the gods that granted them immortality and eternal youth. 1/3 of your baby's blood is still in that placenta upon birth. According to the National Institute of Health, subnormal blood volume is the rule because of immediate cord clamping. What if they purposely clamp the cord so they can keep the blood? The blood literally comes once in a lifetime. Literally. This blood contains CPH4, which is the atomic bomb of growth. This is the ambrosia. In the movie Lucy, Scarlett Johansson is a drug mule who is surgically implanted with a package containing CPH4, but it leaks into her system, giving her superhuman abilities. I'm your brother Crumb, and you're now watching Crumb TV.
I think they're moving something.
Okay.
Right over our head. We can't see anything. We don't get fog inland like where we live. Occasionally, maybe once a year. The last week, it's like I live in fucking, I don't know what Maine is like, but I imagine Maine is foggy. And I then, in the group chat Discord, people were talking about San Jose and Central Valley. So then I Google it. The whole fucking state has deep, deep fog.
So you think there's a conspiracy on why fog is coming before Christmas?
Yeah, I think they're moving something.
Moving what, though? Aliens?
Maybe. UFOs?
Okay.
You cannot see anything.
No, you can't. It's a good kind of way to distract the population.
I just don't believe. What is this fog? This is bullshit.
So, I mean, I'm at the weatherman. You can't even see the stoplight.
What an incredible way to do anything you want. And it may not even be over our head. It could be in the street. Like all of a sudden, if 50 tanks just move through the street, we won't even know.
Pause. Fool. Look, after editing this madness, my brain is fried. I use this channel to reset. It's pure red pill with mesmerizing visuals and soothing sounds. Go sub to 3i Sensory right now. Link is in the pinned comment. And don't say I never looked out for you, fool. Now, back to the creepy. I could watch this all night.
Turkey are the largest underground cities in the world. Some of them go down like
I've heard of
half a mile to
Kuyu.
Yeah, it has a sister city called Kaimakli.
Okay.
The wild thing is that they built these cities to be so survivable without ever having to go to the surface that Kaimakli is 5.5 miles away from Derinkuyu, okay? 5.5 miles, that's a long way. And yet, at the bottom of Derinkuyu, all the way down the lowermost level, they found a tunnel, like a corridor that goes 5.5 miles all the way to Kaimakli. Like the people there that were trying to survive couldn't go to the surface. And they were like going to go visit another city with maybe relatives, and so they would have to travel underground. Wow. I'm not sure a lot of people don't know about that. And to this day, we have no idea who built those cities. There's things thrown around based on occupations of people at different times, but we still have no idea who built them. And the amount of levels of Derinkuyu is astounding. The amount of rock they would have had to remove. We've never even found any of the stuff they removed.
Shooting stars are not what we think they are, and apparently NASA lied about that too. If you didn't know that space was fake, welcome to the room. Sorry to break it to you, but we got to talk about some stuff. The main reason why I think space is fake and Earth is not a ball flying through space is because there's no hard container to keep air pressure on Earth to keep us alive and breathing in a temperature-controlled environment. That's how I know that space is fake. We're next to a vacuum and endless space, and we're all alive. Come on, now let's go to the stars. So the Matrix said that shooting stars are streaks of light caused by tiny space debris burning up as they enter Earth's atmosphere at high speeds. Okay, but NASA lied about space. When you zoom into the stars, which I've made a video about that, and I'm going to come out with another video because I bought the camera and I did it for myself. When you zoom in, the stars are not what NASA shows. They lied about space. They lied about all that stuff. The moon landing, they lied about all that. And so shooting stars still happen, right? We still see them in the sky. Let me show you. So something is definitely flying in the sky. It happens. But what is that? We know that there's no meteors, there's no comets, there's no planets, there's no galaxies. All that is fake space propaganda. It's not real because there's a firmament above and there's waters above that, and the Earth is stationary, immovable, fixed in place. But stuff still happens in the sky, shooting stars. So what is that? Let me show you what it is. So these people, star-al.com, apparently make human-made shooting star satellites. Okay? So it's essentially just for entertainment, but also for atmospheric monitoring and for environmental studying. Okay, so they're trying to tell us that this is a new thing, but I don't think it's new tech. I think that this has been around for years, decades, and now they're saying it's new. Oh, new company. But it's like any technology, like the iPhones, like whatever. iPhone's been around for 1,000 years, but they're trying to say it's new within the last 20 years. No there's no new technology. And this is the CEO talking about all the great things they're going to do, the entertainment, the atmospheric data, and making the world a better place type stuff. Okay, so shooting stars. With that being said, there are ancient accounts of people seeing shooting stars. So they didn't have satellites, allegedly, back in the day. And we know that space is fake, so there are no meteors, even for them, back in the day. So if they're seeing stuff in the sky, like a shooting star, what could it possibly be? Could it be that they had satellites back then? Satelloons? Or possibly, maybe they're seeing something.
To pause this video so she could rest.
Look, all the self-driving cars are tripping right now. They don't know what the fuck to do. They're just stuck in the middle of the street.
So there's a blackout in San Francisco, which I live on the other side of the bay, and looking out, it's dark. It is dark out there. And apparently there is a complete blackout of most of San Francisco. People are trapped in elevators. The Muni and the BART stations are not running. The street lights are not running, which made all the Waymos and the other robot taxis just stop. And a lot of people are trapped in elevators, and there is literally no power. On the good side, Sniffies is on like major overload.
Today I want to talk about something different. Let's talk about martial arts not as fighting styles, but as spiritual systems, where every movement, every posture, every animal form carries an esoteric meaning. In old schools, animals weren't chosen randomly. They each represented a state of consciousness, a way of moving energy, a way of shaping the mind. And we'll begin with the snake. The snake form teaches precision through softness. It looks gentle, almost effortless, but internally it demands the highest level of control. Old practitioners used it to study how energy travels through the spine and the breath. Not fast, not forceful, just clean and uninterrupted. Every motion in snake style is built on sensitivity. You feel microtensions before they become problems. You listen with your body. You react before the opponent fully commits. This is why snake isn't about strength, it's about reading the unseen. In internal alchemy, the snake represented the hidden current that rises when the body is relaxed enough for energy to move freely. It works with the nerves, the breath, and the subtle reflexes that most people never train. That's why the strikes are narrow, direct, and accurate. They aim for openings that only appear for a split second. The snake teaches the art of conserving power. You use exactly what needed, no more, no less. It's the opposite of tension. It's mastery through awareness. And that's why snake is one of the advanced forms. It requires a body that doesn't panic and a mind that doesn't rush. A practitioner who knows how to stay calm even while moving toward danger. This is the consciousness behind the snake, which is not aggression, not dominance, but clarity.
Well, why do so many scientists who discover or work on clean energy suddenly find themselves killed? Well, this is a strange story. Nunu Laero, he was until yesterday MIT's leading nuclear fusion scientist. His plasma research led to incredible clean energy breakthroughs, clean tech, no fossil fuels. He was murdered at his home on Monday. Here is the news report. Shot dead at 47 years old, Nunu Laero. Am I saying that right? The Portuguese?
Lareiro.
I know. I was practicing it all morning. Laero.
Lareiro.
Yeah, and I lived in Portugal for 5 years, and you'd think I'd be able to nail it. Anyway, he's from Lisbon originally. One could argue, like Tesla before his ultimate untimely death, that Nunu's plasma physics research could have changed the world. You could argue that. Sources have confirmed, to redacted, that he had made a few energy giants very nervous. Turns out that he's not the first MIT fusion scientist to suddenly be murdered in his home. In 1989, Eugene Malov exposed a cold fusion cover-up by the Department of Energy and MIT itself. There he is. He even wrote a book about it called Fire from Ice, searching for the truth behind the cold fusion furor. Before he was murdered, he talked about how threatening this research was to the powers that be.
What we really had was a threat to the scientific establishment. The threat of it even being implied as real and having monies, shall we say, being diverted from their favored programs, and that was a threat. It was real. Overwhelmingly compelling, as I said, in Fire from Ice. It was real. Now it's 100% certain.
Interesting. Overwhelmingly real. Meanwhile, so coincidence? What did Nunu know? Andrew Goff is a former History Channel host, researcher, investigator. He's also the host of Conspiracy Hour on Unified TV, and he joins me now. Andrew, great to see you. Thank you for doing this.
It's great to be on the show. Thank you.
So
this
what was
is a very disturbing story, is it not?
It is. And when you think about the laundry list of individuals, I was speaking to a source today, said it's very, very sad because, you know, look, there's a long list of individuals who've gotten very close to the sun, so to speak, where we might have free energy, and suddenly these people are murdered, or they disappear, or they're locked up and thrown behind in jail. What do you make of this?
Yeah, it's just the latest in a long line of similar incidents, right? So anybody who has a cure for a disease, it could be cancer, it could be almost anything. It could be the individuals who find out how to power automobiles with water, not gasoline or petrol.
Just a little update about what's going on in Washington. We got whole cities underwater. The levee broke. The Air National Guard had to try to airlift as many people as they could throughout the night to safety when they already thought that they had reached high grounds. We got every river overflooded with a lot more rain. Temperatures finna drop. They talking about snow. They saying watch out for you being on the interstate because we got fallen trees. We got landslides. Folks had the audacity to mention a volcano. Listen, it really feel like we living in a little Final Destination moment. And let's not forget Christmas next week. But I need y'all to know we all we got. We're gonna get through it. Take care of yourself. And y'all have a good day.
That slap was personal.
And people still get them because when they lock this internet up, ain't nobody streaming nothing. Streaming was created for real-time editing. The reason we're all into streaming, the reason why they took the hard drive out of the Apple TV, the reason why they don't want you with content is because they want to be able to alter content. See, if you're streaming, it's on their server, not yours. You don't own it. You don't even have it. That's why they sell a computer now, the fastest computer out right now, and the hard drive is tiny. Why you only give me 128 gigabytes? And if you want more, you got to pay thousands of dollars. Absolutely. Why are they doing that? Because they want it in the cloud. Because two things happens if it's in the cloud. One, they have it. And the other thing is, they learn it. Metatron don't know. He's not omniscient. He's not like God or whatever. This demon spirit has to learn.
They need our voices, our images,
Dude, it's us. We're all cyborgs. There's a digital version of all of us in the hands of the enemy. He's created it from our uploads. He's showing all your birthdays, he's showing everything you do. He's learning. How else would the devil be omnipresent? He wants to be like God. The internet makes him omnipresent.
That's crazy.
Epstein was basically a penniless moron who couldn't graduate from college, and they placed him in a school, and then they sheep-dipped him at Bear Stearns, and then Les Wexner, who appears to have had an affair with him, then funded him as a fake billionaire, and that was the launch. Now, Epstein wasn't smart enough to actually run a prostitution ring. That's all Ghislaine Maxwell. Okay? Ghislaine Maxwell, as best I can tell from secondary sources, was running a prostitution ring for the Mossad in New York City. It included children, but they needed a boy and bring people in and kind of basically take it up to the presidential level. And so Jeffrey Epstein was managed by Ghislaine Maxwell. And one of the things people don't understand is that the Mossad doesn't just blackmail people for political influence and for money for Israel. They also blackmail corporate chiefs and others to gain special access to the computers so that they can plant backdoors. This is how Robert Maxwell made his name, with a software program called Promise that installed backdoors in all these government computers. They use these computer backdoors to get advanced knowledge to do insider trading. The greatest practitioner and enemy of the United States in the industrial espionage arena is not China or Russia or France or Germany. It's Israel and Great Britain.
Oh, Rockefeller. He monopolized America's oil industry. In fact, over 6 weeks, he was able to buy out all his competitors. Where did he get all this money to buy out his competitors? How did he become a monopolist? How is this happening, guys? This is Andrew Carnegie, who was born poor, but then he monopolized America's steel industry. How did one person do that? That's really strange, guys. JP Morgan, he monopolizes America's financial industry, and he creates something called the Federal Reserve, which is a system they still have today, where America is ruled by private banks. Okay, how is this happening? All right, so these questions. How is it possible for these individuals to monopolize industries? Why are these monopolies national rather than regional? Okay, and why didn't government make public these critical infrastructure and resources like we do in China, right? Oil should belong to people. Why does it belong to one person? The reason why is it is England that is using its wealth from India and China to finance these individuals and allow these individuals to develop entire industries. Why is it doing that? Because the Americans at this time in their history, they hate the British, right? The Americans like, in 1776, we fought a revolution here with the British. Why would we allow the British come back and buy up our land and our oil and our steel and our railways, right? Therefore, they needed people like John Rockefeller and Andrew Carnegie to act as their agents. Okay? Does that make sense? Right? So in America, you're taught that these people, Andrew Carnegie, John Rockefeller, they were just rags to riches. It's because of the American dream. It's a land of opportunity. If you work hard, you can become a billionaire. No, guys, that's not true, okay? If you belong to a secret society, if you are financed by the British Empire, you can become a billionaire.
I've never seen the CIA here in 3 years. Why did they show up today to inspect the equipment? The next day he's dead from faulty equipment. Days earlier, he held a press conference without permission. And he took a bunch of reporters up to the top of the rocket where he affixed a lemon the size of a grapefruit to the top of the rocket, calling it publicly a piece of junk. In fact, seconds before he burned alive, murdered by the CIA, his widow's opinion, not mine, they couldn't even get a wired intercom to work between two buildings. He says, how are we going to go to the moon? He says they're not fixing anything because they knew they were going to fake it and hadn't told the astronauts yet. It was faked a year later. So here's the point. Our country was formed, right, not by the Constitution, by the Declaration of Independence against the tyranny of King George, right? Because he was an obstacle to the pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness. What's the first one? Life. The federal government is murdering their own people. Does anybody care? It'd be one thing if they faked the moon landing and didn't kill anybody. But that's not the case. You see, they're so afraid for the truth about this to come out. I showed 2 NBC News directors the video that you can see on the homepage of Sabrel.com of them faking being halfway to the moon with a 1-foot model, the thing that convinced me and my critics they're faking part of the mission, which they would never have to do if they really went. One of them refused to broadcast it. He said this will cause a civil war. I'm not going to go down in history as the man that caused a civil war. And the other one, 10 years later, agreed to broadcast it, flew me to New York, put me up in the Waldorf Astoria. They said, we're going to break the story nationwide. They get a call from the federal government telling them, don't embarrass us. cancel the broadcast, and they did. All these podcasters who claim that they're anti-deep state are defending the moon landing. They're defending people who are accessory to murderers, right? A great broadcaster, Glenn Beck, who's sincere but sincerely wrong, has me on for 15 minutes in audio and has on Charles Duke an hour on in video. An Apollo astronaut who has the audacity to claim to be a Christian, right? Lying, assuming that people are going to believe him if he calls himself a Christian. When because of his participation in the moon landing fraud, many people were killed. My eyewitness was Cyrus Eugene Akers. He was the chief of security at Cannon Air Force Base. And as he was dying, fearing God's judgment, and as we know, if we renounce our sin and confess, we're forgiven. The first thing out of his mouth, chief of security at Cannon Air Force Base, he says, "I'm a murderer. I killed somebody." His son says, "Who?" He says, "A co-worker at Cannon Air Force Base." His son brings in the military police to investigate, to give the family closure.
Hi. May I ask una Heidi Waity? Heidi? Heidi Waity. What's a Heidi Waity? Hi. ¿Cómo se llama, nene? Una Heidi Waity. Una Heidi Waity. Una pizza. Oh, Heidi Waity? Yes. Oh.
And I love my people.
Oh, don't listen to Putin about nuclear weapons. He's just bluffing. When the world ends, you won't be able to say, "You asshole, he wasn't bluffing." I've been watching this close up, and damn it, we're close to disaster. In 2017, Putin said something very, very interesting. By then, he had dealt with Clinton, he had dealt with Obama, and he had dealt with Trump. He said they come into office with interesting ideas, but then the men in the dark suits and the suitcases and the blue ties come to visit them, and then you never hear of those ideas again. What he was talking about is the military-industrial state. That's who runs the United States. The same companies that are operating in the slaughter in Gaza are the companies operating in Ukraine. And it's our big tech industry, by the way. This is our first AI wars, and they're trying out their weapons right now. The idea of our militarized state is keep the public stupid. This is important to understand. And yes, there's another little detail. The CIA has a track record of dozens of coups, assassinations, overthrows of governments of other countries. That's its main role. Utterly stupid. It solves nothing. By the way, in the ranking of stupidity, I put the British #1. And it doesn't matter whether it's Bojo, Boris Johnson, or Starmer. They have the worst imperial mentality of any country in the world. They were at it the longest. They still think they run the world, and they're fools. The U.S. leadership had the idea, we are the exceptional country. What we do is the greatest. No one could possibly rival us. And what's happened now is, how is China a larger economy than the United States?
Okay, we're going to get into Europe because I'm a member of the European Parliament.
I had a conversation with President Macron, and I said, "Mr. President," he said, "you're absolutely right. but in public, he said exactly the opposite. And until today, says exactly the opposite.
I started a political party in
good.
Cyprus. Direct democracy is the name, and is to practice kind of what Switzerland is doing, sometimes to put votes through an application. And this is kind of the concept, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
I think it's
The world's second most recognized climate engineer, Dr. Ken Caldera, stating what he did for the DoD was to design methods of spraying pathogens into clouds to infect the populations below.
You could imagine, say, putting pathogens in a cloud, then would rain down on your enemy.
We know in the outbreak of CV-19, at one point, 85 countries were infected in 3 days. That's indicative of an airborne dispersion. We know from Italian researchers they found CV-19 attached to airborne particulates. We know from our precipitation testing, we have polymer fibers and graphene in our rain. Those two elements are used militarily as biological carrier platforms to carry a pathogen from the clouds to the ground to infect the population below. Why is that in our rain right now? Could they, at any point of their choosing, put something much more lethal into the precipitation and level the playing field? Certainly they could.
Is the government trying to make us cyborgs? You already know that it's prophesized that we won't be able to buy, sell, trade, or even move without the mark of the beast. Well, the Real ID Act requires that states collect biometric data. It involves collecting, analyzing, and leveraging data generated by people's activities, both digital and physical. All of this information is going to be housed in a data center. Meta just unveiled plans to spend $10 billion on its largest ever data center. But even those data centers won't be enough to house that information. So what are they going to do? They're going to put it on blockchain, revolutionizing science, the potential of DNA-based blockchain. A group wants to inject a Bitcoin inside of a mouse's DNA, and it isn't even the strangest decentralized autonomous organization out there. You are the blockchain. The plan to put Bitcoin in mouse DNA with genetically engineered virus. Remember mRNA? Storing blockchain data inside DNA molecules for ultra-dense long-term archival storage. A hybrid DNA blockchain system where DNA acts as a biological storage medium in blockchain-like structures. Remember when Amazon told you about those ghost stores? Well, you thought they were going to scan a RFID chip underneath your skin, when in reality they're going to scan your DNA. And that's how you'll do business. I'm your brother Crumb, and you are now watching Crumb TV.
That was the smartest decision ever.
What? What's the baby doing in the womb? It's in a sleeping state, right? It's dormant. It's sleeping. Even when it moves, the baby is in a dormant sleeping state. Here's some information you're not gonna hear nowhere on the fucking internet. So you know it's real. What if I told you that the baby's having a dream of its past life? It's actually living its past life while it's in the womb. Like right now, you're in the womb of some entity while you living right now. And what you do right now determines your whole life. But while you was in that womb, you were still alive in another life while you was in the womb. While you was sleeping in your mama's womb. You was dreaming of the last life you was living. And then when you...
and I want to discuss it with you after we watch it together. Chris, cut number 20.
They rob you blind and you thank them for it. That's a tragedy. That's a scam. That's why I'm saying this right now. Americans, you don't need a tariff. You need a revolution. For decades, your government and oligarchs ship your job to China. Not for diplomacy, not for peace, but to exploit cheap labors. And in the process, they hollowed out your middle class, crushed your working class, and told you to be proud while they sold your future for profit. And yes, China made money, but we used it to build roads, lift millions out of poverty, fund healthcare, raise living standard. We reinvested in our people. My family also benefited from it. What did your oligarchs do? They bought yachts, private jets, mansions with golf course driveways. They manipulated the market, dodged tax, and poured billions into endless wars. And you get stagnated wages, crippling healthcare costs, cheap dopamine, debt, and flagged wave probably made in China while they pick your pocket. For 40 years, both China and the United States benefit from the trade, the manufacturing, but only one of us use that wealth to build. This isn't China's fault. This is yours. You let this happen. You let the oligarchs feed you lies while they made you fat, poor, and addicted. Now they blame China for mess they made. I don't think so. I don't think you need another tariff. You need to wake up. You need to take your country back. I think you need a revolution.
The one correction I would make, I realize a lot of this is ideological, is we haven't spent billions on useless wars. We've spent trillions on useless wars. But take it from there, Professor Mearsheimer.
Well, if you
If
listen,
that young man were your student in your class and he stood up and gave that minute and a half statement, how would you respond?
I would tell him I basically agree with him. I think he's correct. And I think, by the way, that this is a message in large part that Trump made as a candidate before the 2016, 2020, and the...
We found dinosaurs in this 1562 painting. Check this out. This is absolutely crazy. This is a painting done, it's a biblical painting done on the you-know-what of Saul. I can't say that word, but that's what this painting was done. And I can't even show you that picture because that part of it, but it's in here as well with, if you know, in the biblical times what happened with Saul. But in this painting, there's dinosaurs. Check it out. They're right here. I'll zoom out a little bit. This is zoomed in really far. And if you follow my channel, I dive into old maps and mysteries, and I found a painting and I had to share it because it was crazy. Here's another one right here. Now that one looks like it could be more of a camel there. It's a little bit smaller, right? That's what I think on that one. Just wanted to show you that. But I can tell you right now, those aren't camels. That is definitely not a camel head right there. Look at that. Tell me what you think of that. Got a comment and tell me what you think of that one. That's crazy. It's crazy. And then this is a very detailed drawing. Like it's, so first off, let's look back here. And again, it's a 1562. It's an oil painting. The artist's name was Peter Bruegel the Elder. And it's right now in the museum in Vienna. And it's not a big map. It's only 13 inches by 22 inches. But wow, the detail when you zoom in is quite crazy. God, those look like little pyramid things right there. I mean, probably little houses or something. But look at the castles and everything. Like, look at the one there on the mountain ridge. Absolutely amazing. And then you have all these here. I know it's just a painting, but they're depicting what was there back then. I don't know what's happening back there. That's kind of crazy. And then this is all the battle that's happening there. So that's the part of the painting as well. And then look at this. Look at this castle in the middle of the water, right? It's crazy. And you have all the people on the cliff, and then look at all the soldiers. It's crazy. It's just pretty wild seeing this. For such a small, painting, there's so much detail into it. And then the other details over there to the left that I can't talk about, but it's in the scripture. This is like pretty much done as the scripture. It's just interesting when you look at it and you're going there, and then you can see these obvious, because look, you can see the horses right here people are on. Look at the size difference on them all. I'm just gonna kind of go by so we can kind of get a real good interpretation of everything. All right, it might be a dinosaur up there too, just a smaller one. I don't know, dude. Tell me what you think. I just thought this was a crazy picture. If you want a link to this, again, hit me up in the comments. I'd be happy to send it to you. I always try to send them all. If I miss you on a link, I'm sorry. I apologize. What the heck is that going on? What are we going on here? Oh no, this looks like a horse in the battle or something. I don't know what's going on. That's really weird. Doesn't make sense. None of these make sense here. It's kind of weird stuff. All right, enough of that. Anyways, thanks for watching. Thanks for the support. And let me know what you think of the dinosaurs or not, or what do you think that is? If you don't think they're dinosaurs, what do you think those are in there? I don't know. I would find it weird to be a camel. I think they're dinosaurs. But anyways, hit me up in the comments. And as always, until next time.
the synagogue is Satan worship, which is Saturn, Lord of the Rings, Moloch, Baal, take your pick. Some know it, most don't, but our bigger problem is our inability to discern friend from foe. And I bet you most don't realize all of the Abrahamic religions were created to confuse and control you. It's actually very simple. Abraham means father of confused goys. In the Torah in the Old Testament, Abraham's name was changed from Avram to Avraham when he was 99 years old. First, he wasn't a literal 99-year-old person. The age is symbolic, 3 groups of 33. And your name shall no longer be called Avram, but your name shall be Avraham, for I have made you the father of a multitude of nations. Remember, these are Abrahamic religions. Even though Moses, Adam, and others are shared older ancestors, the covenant with God to build nations happens through Abraham's accord. Av Hamon Goyim is Hebrew for father of many nations, and that is one accepted translation. However, these words have multiple possible meanings. An alternative translation for Hamon is confusion, and Baal Hamon was the supreme deity of ancient Carthage, linked to the Greek Cronus, Roman Saturn, the baby-eating god. The name also appears in the Bible referring to a place, the Song of Solomon. Baal just means Lord. That's the translation. Lord in English comes from roots that mean keeper of the crumb, and it didn't originally mean food. It meant a piece of. And biblically, the bread that gets divided by Jesus for his disciples to break into disciplines and teach to the crowd until there were only crumbs is knowledge. I realize that's not how we're using these words, but that's how we've been tricked. Lord means keeper of the knowledge. Jesus would be giver of the knowledge. The Bible has layers and puzzles. It's intended to walk you up the chain of comprehension regarding historical and scientific and spiritual concepts. Baal Hamon means Lord of Confusion, just like you have Baal Zebub, Lord of the Flies, as in Beelzebub, as shown here with the skull and crossbones. Baal is often Zebul, similar to this one here from a 1933 Jewish heritage celebration in Chicago 6 months after Hitler takes office. That is the same ritual that takes place in the year 2000 that Alex Jones documented, snuck into Bohemian Grove to see the owl god Moloch on display for all the rich and powerful of San Francisco. And I don't think this is coincidence. That footage has been leaked of the same ceremony 77 years apart from each other. They both happen to show up on the internet. All of this is not, if all of this is as gnarly as it seems, like they would not have let Alex Jones do that.
Minus 999 social points.
Looking at is the root of it all. These cables feed high-powered current directly into the pole, but it's not just electricity, guys, it's data. Biometric, behavioral, geospatial. Every signal going in is bouncing back out. And those junctions right there, those are RF filters and signal amplifiers, possibly tied into low-band 5G MM wave. And scalar-tuned compression feeds, guys. And look at the anchor plate, that's over-engineered for a reason. These towers vibrate, not from the wind, but from signal discharge. That base keeps it grounded, but the pulse still spreads.
When you see what they are blotting out in the skies, as in this 1906 photograph of San Francisco, it makes you wonder what is so important about what they're blotting out. Because what they're blotting out is quite literally our history. San Francisco ruins of 1906, and they say this comes from the George Lawrence airship. Well, this is the captive airship right here. It's a kite that they say took the aerial photographs of San Francisco. This one picture destroys their narrative. The arrow is pointing at the wing extension stabilizers, and they are not from the George Lawrence captive airship. They are from this, the mythological fairy tale steampunk that apparently did exist and in great numbers. Notice the stabilizers. In this photo they are cropped up of the unfurled wing extension. The next question is, why is it so important to delete these craft out of our history? What part of our history is so sensitive that it can be affected by these airships by trying to convince us a kite took these aerial photographs so we would not know the capabilities of airships?
And that's a wrap on this episode, fool. I hope you enjoyed it. If so, don't forget to hit and smash the like button for me, smash the subscribe button, be part of the family. Remember, stay woke, and I'll catch you next time.